You think you know Mr. Perfect? The swagger, the towel, the gum slap, the guy who could make any sports shot look easy? He was one of the biggest superstars of wrestling's greatest era, a champion, an absolute icon. But I'm telling you, that's not the real story. Not even close. Before he was Mr. Perfect, he was a completely different animal. Today, we're going to show you the 373 days he ruled a dying empire and became an absolute monster, years before the world even knew his name. So forget the perfect football throws. Forget the slick videos. We are going back in time. Back to when wrestling was nothing but grit, guts, and blood. We're going back to the AWA. The American Wrestling Association, or AWA, was a ghost. For years, it was one of the biggest promotions on the planet, built on real, tough-as-nails wrestlers. The AWA title wasn't a toy. It meant you were the best in the world. But back east, Vince McMahon's WWF was a freight train, crushing every other wrestling company in its path. And one by one, the AWA's biggest stars left for more money and more fame. The worst one? Hulk Hogan. After the AWA's owner refused to make him champion, Hogan left and became the biggest star wrestling had ever seen. It was a hit the AWA never, ever recovered from. The company was bleeding out. Their roster was getting old, their arenas were getting empty, and the crowds were getting quiet. The owner, Vern Gagne, was an old-school guy who just couldn't compete with the WWF's new style of sports entertainment. The AWA was a sinking ship, and it desperately needed a new captain who could save it. And into this total disaster walked Curt Hennig. He was wrestling royalty, the son of the legendary Larry the Axe Hennig. From his first match in the AWA on January 30th, 1980, everyone knew this kid was special. He had the family name, the look, and was a once-in-a-generation athlete. After a few years learning the ropes everywhere else, he came back to the AWA in 1984 as a completely different performer. He wasn't Mr. Perfect yet. He was cool Curt Hennig, a good guy that all the fans loved. And he teamed up with another insane young athlete, Scott Hall. Their chemistry was unbelievable. They were young, hungry, and on January 18, 1986, they won the AWA World Tag Team Championships. It was the only good thing happening in the entire company. But tag team gold wasn't enough. The AWA needed one man to carry the whole promotion. And Vern Gagne looked at his son of a legend and decided, this is our guy. To become the AWA champion, you had to survive. It wasn't just given to you. Curt Hennig's ultimate test was an insane challenge in late 1986 against the current world champion, the legendary Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel was a master, a true old-school champion. The challenge was set, a 60-minute time limit match. 1 full hour of non-stop war. For 60 minutes, they beat the life out of each other. It was a battle of pure wrestling and willpower. They bled. They were exhausted, but neither man would quit. When the final bell rang, it was a draw. But that draw was the biggest win of Curt Hennig's life. He went the distance with the best in the world and proved he was ready. He wasn't just Larry's son anymore. He was the next champion. His championship match was set for Super Clash 2 on May 2nd, 1987. Curt Hennig versus Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. This was supposed to be the moment the new hero was born. But that's not what happened. It was another brutal match, but then something insane happened. Another wrestler, Zbyszko, handed Hennig a roll of quarters. Hennig punched Bockwinkel with the loaded fist and got the pin. 1, 2, 3. Curt Hennig was the new AWA World Heavyweight Champion. He didn't win like a hero. He cheated. He he took a shortcut. The fans were in shock. Their hero had just sold his soul for a championship. In that moment, cool Curt Hennig was gone, and a new, cocky, unstoppable champion was born. This wasn't a hero. This was a monster. And this is where it gets crazy. For the next 373 days, Curt Hennig was the most dominant champion on the entire planet. This is where the DNA of Mr. Perfect was created. The championship gave him a whole new personality. He became unbelievably arrogant, telling interviewers he was moving on to bigger and better things, and that old champions like Bockwinkel didn't deserve a rematch. He declared himself the greatest wrestler in the world, bar none. That famous swagger wasn't an act. It was born right here. He was the workhorse champion the AWA needed to survive. As the company kept shrinking, Hennig put the entire main event scene on his back. He defended the title non-stop against everybody. He fought the owner's son, Greg Gagne, in a bitter rivalry. He beat legit tough guys like Wahoo McDaniel. He was a machine. His matches were totally different from the WWF. They were long, technical masterpieces. He wasn't just winning, he was making his opponents look like superstars before he beat them, a skill that would make him famous later on. He was mastering the art of being a champion. During this reign, he also hired the manager Diamond Dallas Page and was often seen with the women's champion, Medusa. This just made him seem like an even bigger deal, an untouchable king with his own crew. But the AWA was on life support. They were running shows in tiny arenas that were half empty. Hennig was a world-class champion performing in a minor league. He was a monster stuck in a cage that was getting smaller every single day. The WWF was calling. It was only a matter of time before the AWA lost its last great star. After 373 days, this is how it all ended. On May 9th, 1988, not in the AWA's hometown, but in Memphis, Tennessee. The AWA, in a last-ditch effort to stay alive, partnered with another wrestling company. That night, Curt Hennig defended his title against their king, Jerry the King Lawler. The match was an absolute bloodbath. The crowd was going crazy for Lawler, their hometown hero. Hennig was a vicious champion, attacking a cut over Lawler's eye without mercy. But Lawler, showing unbelievable heart, caught Hennig and catapulted him into the corner. Hennig stumbled out, and Lawler pinned him. 1, 2, 3. Jerry Lawler was the new AWA World Heavyweight Champion. After 373 days, the incredible reign was over. For the AWA, it was the final nail in the coffin. They put the title on Lawler, hoping to get more fans, but it was too late. Losing Hennig right after was a death blow. The company struggled for a few more years before closing for good in 1991. But for Curt Hennig, losing was the best thing that ever happened to him. He didn't leave the AWA as a kid with potential. He left as a proven monster. That 373-day reign was his master's degree in being a champion. He proved he could carry a company through its worst days. He had wrestled 60-minute classics and bloody street fights. He had built his character from the ground up. When he arrived in the WWF a few months later, he wasn't cool Curt Hennig anymore. They gave him a new name, Mr. Perfect. The WWF made those amazing videos of him playing sports, but the truth is, the character wasn't built in a video studio. It was forged in the dying arenas of the AWA. That arrogance wasn't an act. It was earned over 373 days as the king of a forgotten world. That perfection in the ring wasn't a gimmick. It was the result of being the workhorse champion for a company that valued wrestling skill more than anything. Most people's story of Curt Hennig starts with his first Mr. Perfect video in the WWF. But if you start there, you miss the most important chapter of his entire career. Before he was a superstar, he was a survivor. Before he was an entertainer, he was a wrestler. And before he was perfect, he was a monster who ruled a dying kingdom with an iron fist. His 373-day reign as AWA World Champion was the last great moment of a legendary company and the first great moment of a legendary career. It proved that long before the WWF gave him the perfect name, Curt Hennig was already the complete package, a true world champion, and one of the best to ever get in a ring. And that, in a word, is perfect. What's the most underrated wrestling story you know? Let me know in the comments down below. We read all of them. And if you want to see more insane stories like this one, smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.